Hi, welcome to this video on Java operators. This is the second video of the two videos we have on the same topic. In this video, we are going to start with Boolean variables. Then we'll have a look at Boolean expressions and how they evaluate to true and false and return these values to variables and assign them. Then we'll have a look at conditional operators. And finally, we'll practice whatever we learned on programmer.com. I request you to open programmer.com on the side and start practicing as we go through the video. Boolean variables, as we saw in the variable slide, basically are assigned either true or false. So a Boolean variable's x will either have the value true or have the value false. So you can directly assign these values by writing, say, x is equals to true or x is equals to false. But when we have some expression and we are assigning some expression to the variable, so it is necessary for the expression to evaluate to true or false. So here we have x and we need to assign something to x and we have an expression. Then that expression should evaluate to either true or false. This gives rise to Boolean expressions, and these are the expressions which evaluate to either true or false. So we have a list of relational operators which act on operands, and these return, and they overall comprise of a Boolean expression, and the expression returns true or false. For example, with the two double equal to symbol, we have the equals operator, which tells whether the two terms are equal or not, returning true or false. Similarly, we have the not equal to operator, not equals operator, greater than, less than, greater than or equal to operator, or less than or equal to operator. So this equals to operator is different from assignment operator. When we have one equal to sign, that is the assignment operator, but when we have two of these, that's the equals operator. For example, when we have 5 equal to 6. Now since 5 is not equal to 6, this will return false. Or we can have 8 is less than, say, 10. Since 8 is less than 10, this will return true. So this has now become a Boolean expression which will return a Boolean value. And then you can assign that Boolean value to, say, x is equals to false. Or you can say x is equals to 8 less than 10, which will assign true to x. Similarly, there are others, and I request you to practice them side by side. Now we have some other conditional operators also. For example, AND. When we have two Boolean expressions, say x and y, then x and y will only be true if both x and y are true. For example, when we have 8 double equal to 8 and say 6 less than or equal to 7. So for the whole expression to be true, and let's say x is equals to this, for the whole expression to be true, this expression and this expression must be true because of AND which has come in between. So since this is true and this is true, this will return true. Similarly, we can have something like that. We can say 7 less than 3 and 4 less than equal to 4, and we can assign this to x. Now since 7 less than 3 is false and 4 less than or equal to 4 is true, but we saw when we have the AND conditional operator, both these Boolean expressions should be true for the whole thing to be true. So x will be assigned false because one of them is false. Now comes the OR operator. So when we have OR here instead of AND, then if either one expression or the other or both of them are true, then x becomes true. So when we have OR here, then the value of x becomes true. So when we have x and y and x or y, then x or y is true if x or y or both are true. Now finally we'll look at NOT. So NOT is simple. If x is true, x is a Boolean expression and x is true, then not x is false. It kind of reverses the value. So for this expression, the final value was true. If I add a NOT here, which is similar to an exclamation mark, then the final value will become false. So these are the three conditional operators. Now let us go to programmer.com and practice these so we have a better idea of the same. So I logged into programmer.com and we'll go to the first page, and in programmer.com I can directly write the code and execute it there. So I'll just remove the comments from here. What I'm doing first is I'm creating a Boolean variable, say x. Now we know that this variable can either have values true or false. To assign it a value, I'll directly say x is equals to true, and I'll print x. Let us see what happens. So the value of x, which was true, got printed. So either x can have true or x can have false. Now let us reassign x to some expression. Say 4 greater than 5 is the expression, and let us see what it returns. It returned a false because 4 is less than 5 and this Boolean expression will give you a false. So this statement kind of reassigned this false value to x and it printed false. Now as we talked about conditional operators, I'm going to add a conditional operator here, the OR operator, and I'm going to say 6 double equal to 6. Now this Boolean expression, as we saw previously, is false, but this expression is true because 6 is equals to 6. So this will return true. And since we have the OR operator in between, can you guess what the result will be? The result will be true, because we saw that when we have x or y, x and y, and when we have x or y, then x or y will be true if either x or y or both are true. So in this case our y part is true. So for or either of the expression should be true, and since this expression is true, the final value which is assigned to x is true. Now what we can do is, to this expression which results in true, we can add another and let's say this and is 20 greater than 2. Now see, this is true and 20 is greater than 2 is true. So overall this expression should return a true, and let us see if we are correct. Here you go, this returned a true. So what we did, we applied AND to two expressions. One was this whole expression and one was this expression. Then you can basically assume this also as an expression and apply as many conditional operators you want, or as many relational operators you want. Not as many relational operators, you can apply as many conditional operators you want, and then you can assign that value to x. So and lastly we saw the NOT operator. So the NOT operator, as we talked about, kind of reverses the final value. So the final value of our expression is true. When I apply a NOT to it, let us see what happens. So it reversed the value and it became false and assigned that to x. So let us summarize what we have learned, that we have Boolean variables which are assigned expressions which evaluate to true or false. These expressions are Boolean expressions, and we use relational operators to write Boolean expressions. Relational operator like greater than, less than, equals to, unequal to, etc. And then we have conditional operators like not, and or, which work on two Boolean expressions. So these three are basically the conditional operators that we discussed. And you can always go to programmer.com and practice Java online. That is the best place to practice Java online.